DRL Radio is on the air. Sit back and relax. It's time to talk about all things sim racing. Here are your hosts, Rich, Mr. TV Time Patton, Todd, Too Tall Stat, and Phil, the Racer Lacasse. Okay, boys, let's have some fun.
And a happy Monday night to all of you out there. Thank you for watching us tonight. Another edition of DRL Live, here live on the DRL Network. Our weekly get-together of all things talking sim racing. You know, we talk about all sorts of sims here, NR 2003, iRacing, R-Factor, whatever is out there, we'd like to talk about it. And welcome to all viewers out there to join the conversation here tonight. You can find DRTV, DRL Network, as part of the SRA Sim Racing Association TeamSpeak. The IP is on your screen. We welcome all to join the discussion here a little later tonight. A lot of great stuff going on out there. It's a busy Monday night. You know, a lot of us celebrating opening day for the baseball season. Little basketball game here on tonight. And you know, a lot of you out there been out there sim racing all over the place, as all of us have been through this last week. So much here to get to. A loaded, jam-packed edition of DRL Live this evening. Phil Lacasse, Todd Stanton, Joe Allen, and Rich Patton, as always, at the controls for us here this evening. Four of us here on the call for a great edition here on a Monday night. And, you know, Todd, I know you guys have been busy. I'll welcome Joe and Todd, I believe, live from the USA International Speedway. I think you guys just jumped out of a dirt limited late model. First to you, Todd. I don't know how's things going out there. I think you guys are having some fun this week. And what's new, partner? Welcome aboard this evening.
Well, not much new. Just going out. We were practicing on USA International Speedway. It was rather interesting to see some of the first laps out on that track. But it's been a pretty good eventful season, or well, I should say week so far. A lot of good sim racing going on throughout the NASCAR 2003 community, the iRacing community, the Assetto Corsa community, all kinds of different things going on, and I can't wait to cover some of it.
No, absolutely right. And over to you, Joe Allen. I know you've been busy out there. You're real busy racing all week long. A lot of good stuff going on. The little bit of downtime we've had here for the last couple of days as far as the DRL Network goes. I believe you've been a busy guy as well, and I believe you just jumped out of your dirt car as well.
Yeah, I've been turning a lot of laps over there with our teammates, between me and Todd and David Day and Martin. And I've had some other projects I've been working on. I know we'll cover a few things later on in the show. Definitely a lot of exciting stuff going on, but a lot of results sent in this week. A couple new faces that I see on here, and a lot of exciting things coming up for all of us here at on the DRL Network. So I'm excited for a bunch of cool and exciting new things for some of our viewers that we have in store coming up over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be fun.
A lot of great stuff coming on. A full slate of stuff coming up. You know, a lot of great broadcasts. We pay a visit over to the ASR 2K3 clan here next Sunday night. We also, you know, a couple of weeks from on a Saturday night, we go over to SMO for the 9th annual Racing for the Cure. Probably my favorite event we do here on DRTV year after year. Can't wait to go back over there and see Jamie and Kenny and Viper and all the guys at SMO. Of course, Bob Tompkins, our most loyal supporter out there. So that's coming up April the 15th. The full schedule of what we got going on. There's so much coming up in the next couple of weeks. DRLnetwork.com is the home base for us. And Rich Patton, as always, on the controls for us again this evening. A lot of new widgets and stuff down there you've been playing with. What's new, Rich? What's been life like in these last few days?
Not too bad here. Trying to get things organized. Got a little bit of a glitch down here I'm working on now, so hopefully we can get that fixed and straightened out. Hopefully the fans watching and listening to us are keeping track and or not getting anything. Probably got a little bit of echo. Let me turn it down and see where we go tonight. I know there's been a lot of chatter about the iRacing stuff, and just to calm everyone's nerves out there, we do have a little bit of iRacing stuff to cover tonight, but this should be the last hoo-ha of the big iRacing event since it's out for a while now. So we'll get through today and see if we can get back focused on all sim racing instead of just trying to stay in one area. So we'll see how tonight goes.
No, absolutely right. And of course, as always, all the leagues that support us, all the sim racers out there that watch us week after week as part of YouTube, the YouTube chat box firing away. Love to see all you guys out there back and forth. And so many great leagues have checked in this week. I know we've been based in NR 2003 for a long time, and that's forever going to be our roots. But as we look to branch out, and we want to hear from all sims out there, whatever game you're playing out there, of course. You know, as Joe said and Todd said, these guys have been out on the iRacing dirt quite a bit this last week. That's been out for a long time. The dirt, very new to us. You know, we've had P cars out there, Assetto Corsa, R-Factor. So, I can't wait to hear what all these other sims got. And welcome it all to get us here. Send us a quick email, drllive@drlnetwork.com, and tell us all what your leagues are up to and what kind of things are racing out there. But, guys, a fantastic weekly review we have here on hand. You know, a lot of great leagues checked in this week. So, Joe Allen, I'm going to throw it to you first. So let's start this week's weekly review.
Yeah, diving right into our first results sent in to us from the Blazing Pedals League. Their results are for the week of March 27th through March 30th. Their Monday Night Super Speedway Series went to the California Bank Speedway, so that's something new for their running of the Fontana 200. Our friend Bobby Farrell in the 45 was the winner of that event. Bruce Heil was second. GT Arizari was third. Scott Gordon was fourth, and Bart Furstenberger was fifth. Their Wednesday Night Camping World Truck Series ran the Tums 125 at Martinsville Speedway. Colin Keister took down the win in that event. Jason Justice was second. Jeffrey McClintock was third. Jerry Walters finished fourth, and Sonny Tallman was fifth. And finally, their Thursday Night Monster Energy Cup Series took to the Martinsville Speedway as well for their STP 175. Maverick Morrow swept all three stages of that race. He was the winner of that event. Tom Richter was second. GT Arizari was third. Dakota Wilkins was fourth, and Sonny Tallman rounded out the top five.
Well, I got to get that right. Bobby Farrell won the Super Speedway Series. Did everybody just kind of show up, let him win? No, we kid on that. Our buddy Bobby out there watching. Congratulations, Bobby. I know, just like you and I, wins are few and far between. So, of course, got to shout out to my buddy Jack. He picked up a win at TDR a couple weeks ago. I know we missed that on a review. But moving over, I got a great message from our friend Shane Lake. The brand new Throwback Racing League that's coming to take storm in this community. A lot of tremendous buzz from these guys. Made a quick announcement to me here this afternoon when they decided to switch away from the ASA 90 mod. They're going to switch over to the Cup 2000 mod, and that's going to be their mainstay series. Tuesday night will be the Cup 2000 with a 2001 series season schedule with all the tracks. Server going to open at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Green Flag Racing at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 35% races on the actual distances on short tracks and speedways, and 45% on the plate tracks and road courses. So that's going to be a great series for them. They're going to move on to Thursday night with the Cup 90 series. Server's going to open up at 6 p.m. for practice. Green Flag Racing at 7 p.m. Saturday going to be a double dip kind of night here for these guys at the Throwback Racing League. The Aero 88 series is going to roll off at 1:30 p.m. for practice. The Green Flag at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday afternoons. That using the Aero 88 mod. And rounding out a doubleheader Saturday nights, I should say. 6 p.m. practice, 7 p.m. Green Flag. They're going to run the GN 69 and 70 mods, the old school styles car. So can't wait to see what these guys at Throwback Racing are all about. This Friday, April the 7th, they're going to have a teaser test in the GN55 mod, the battle at the Daytona Beach. They're going to start that at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Preseason Thunder for Others season are going to start on June the 1st with their first official race rolling off on June the 6th. So check these guys out. Throwback Racing League. Search them up on Facebook. Shane, Johnny, all the guys over there. Great group of guys, and really excited to see what Throwback Racing League is all about. I think there are a lot of great things here on the horizon for these guys here, Todd.
Yeah, definitely a lot of great things on the rise. Now I'm making our way over to the Fast Racing Stables, where Tuesday, March 28th, the Goodies Dash Series, Bass Pro Shops 175 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Randall Coleman taking down the win. Tommy Bordeaux finishing second. Reaper, Steve Gordon finishing third. Zach Webster and Trey Coleman rounded out your top five. That was for the Bass Pro Shops 175. Wednesday, March 29th, Under Armour Cup Series, Johnsonville 200 Road America. One of my not one of my favorite tracks. It's a road course, but Davey Hazard taking down the win. Ricky Collette, Ryan Pace, Michael Moretta, and Andrew Burr rounds out your top five. Thursday, March 30th was a Chromatic Designs Truck Series, STP 150, Martinsville Speedway. Another track that I struggle at. Ryan Pace, Joseph Weaver, Ricky Collette, Trey Coleman, and Matt Lesniewski rounds out your top 5. Then we head on over to Sunday. This is a Sunday Wannabes Classic Cup Series from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Jeffrey McClintock taking down the win with Colby Martin, Ryan Pace, Sean Whitehill, and Zach rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, great group of guys over there at Fast Racing League. Check them out. A lot of great racing, open setup, fixed setup. Check those guys out. Moving over to a nice message I got from Chris Rogers and our friends over at Excel Racing. Checking in with some great results. Todd Colpitz picked up the win at the Steel Palace 100 at the Oswego Speedway. Chris Rogers clocked in second. Corey Rogers third. Steve Rogers in fourth. And Kyle Lawson rebounded from 2 crashes to finish in the top 5. Lawson remaining the point leader with 2 races left to go there. Moving over to the next night, Kyle Lawson laid claim to his first 2017 Cup Series win in the Surfs Up 120 at the Auto Club Speedway. He beat 4-time champion Bradley Douthat for the win there. Bradley coming home in the second spot. Those guys sound like raced feverishly there in the Excel Cup Series for the last 20 laps. So good job to Kyle Lawson. Certainly been on a tear over there. But speaking of Bradley Douthat, he pulled off the win the following night at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Grand National Series. It was not an easy one. He had to hold off a fierce battle there from Chris Rogers, who finished up the second spot. Kyle Lawson finished up on the top 3 as well. The third spot, Todd Colpitz fourth. Dennis Chambers rounding out your top 5 there. This week, the Stars Modify Series heads to the Concord Motorsports Park for stop number 9. Kyle Lawson leads Chris Rogers by 17 points with 2 races remaining. The Excel Cup Series on Tuesday heads to the Paperclip, Martinsville Speedway, which should certainly be a game changer for those guys. And on the Grand National Series Wednesday night, they head to the Lady in Black, the Darlington Raceway, for the race number 5 on the season. And these guys ask on upcoming Thursday night, do you want to sling some dirt? That's right, the dirt is back at Excel Racing. This week, the series debut for the Kings of Dirt Street Stock Bomber Series. The series will be a 10-week-long season with no damage, no yellow flags, and 1X tire wear. We will be using the Aero 88 mods, so check these guys out at Excel Racing. Always do a lot of great racing, and check out all those guys. Great guys, a great group, and they do a lot of great things over at Excel Racing. So check those guys out, Joe.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun and interesting and exciting new things coming up for Excel. But moving on, we're going to visit the Fuel Racing League. Their Panasonic Cup Series visited the Kentucky Speedway for their Napa Filters 240. Rick Johnson took down the win. Brandon Lawson was second. Ryan Pace was third. Bruce Heil was fourth. Sean Whitehill rounded out the top 5. And their Fuel Retro Series, with that support from Insomniac Racing, visited the Trans-South, they visited Kansas for the Trans-South 500. Tommy Bordeaux was the winner of that race. Ricky Collette was second. Sean Whitehill was third. Jeremy Longoria was fourth, and Tyler Stallhood rounded out the top 5 for that event, Todd.
Now we're going to venture over to the iRacing side. All-Star Racing Group, ASRG. This is Mike Massey's group. All-Star Racing Group is no longer private. They're exclusively iRacing only. Dustin Germain and Craig Bristol won the Mr. Dirt Day Co-Championship. Weston Newell dominated the All-Star Icebreaker with 3 out of the 4 feature wins. They ran Dirt Legends. The winner was Keith Toller. And Weston Newell dominated the Dirt Super Lights, the 360 Sprint Cars, and the Street Stock feature. Mike Kelby made his iRacing debut. He was pretty good at the Legends cars. Series open soon, looking for Sunday start. 9 Eastern Legends with the 360 Sprint Cars to follow. I will update my site in a few days, is what he's saying. So this is his first race report here with us on DRL Live. So hopefully more to come from Mike Massey in that All-Star Racing Group.
Yeah, those guys have been around for a really long time. So check out Massey and all the gang over there at ASRG. Moved over to full exclusive iRacing. A lot of great things from them to come. Moving on over to the TDR stables. The NRT Pro Truck Series visited the Texas Motor Speedway. Unofficial results here from TDR this week. It was Steve Looney picking up the checkered flag over at the Texas Motor Speedway. Matt Watkins, Scott Schroyer, Gary Piccolo, and Jason Skaraki, old J-Rock, clocking in with a top 5 finish at Texas. Saturday night, the Apple Collision Center Premier Cup Series rolled over the Martinsville Speedway. It was Robert Balcom taking down the win, Derek Justice finishing up second, Corey Carpenter third, Zach Rogers fourth, and the Jet Joe Allen clocking home fifth there at Martinsville. And then one night ago, the Thunder Bay Speedway played host to the Aero 88 Super Speedway Series, and that was our old buddy, the Bean Man, Al Bazaniski, taking down the win. The Reaper Steve Gordon finished up second. Keith Patton third, Bobby Farrell fourth, and Corey Williams rounded out your top 5. So that's the report this week from TDR Racing. Check them out, tdr-racing.net. And Todd, I believe you got a late entry in there from our friends at Maniac Racing.
All right. And actually, we're going to go visit our buddy Denny Daniels and company over at Fast Track Elite Sim Racing. They visited the Auto Club Speedway this last week. Jerry Walters was the winner in that event. Jeremy Menfee came in second place, and Joe Morabito rounded out their top 3. They had 5 cautions in the event, 3 of which were for expired motors. So a couple guys probably trying to push the limits and coming up just a little bit short, but there were 11 lead changes. Devin Bliss barely missed out on a win, just running out, coming up a little bit short on fuel is what it looks like. But all the guys over at Fast Track Elite, their Cup Series heads to Martinsville this upcoming week for their running of the STP 175, and definitely a lot of good things. One of the newer leagues that's been around the community. They're having a lot of success early on, seeing a lot of new faces pop up. So that's awesome to see for all those guys. So happy for Joe Morabito and Denny Daniels and company over there, but. Todd, I think you caught up with the last result that we have submitted to us this week. So let's finish this off, bud.
Yeah, and I apologize for anything that I slaughter through here because my phone has got half of it cut off. I'm looking at the results through my Android phone right now for these guys. A late entry here, Maniac Racing Super Trucks on Friday. Jeff Kincaid took down the win with Joe Bishop. Larry Gotez and Kerry Hendrickson and an Antonio Irvin. Cars Racing winner Chill Aero 88 Wednesdays. Jason Klein, Bobby Refuse, Larry Goderson, I believe it was what it says here. I can't just see a little bit of it. Antonio Irvin, Tim Haney. The 84, the 18, and the 83 rounds out your top 8. Getting the top 8 in there. I almost believe the reason why they got the top 8 in there is Joe Bishop. He sent me this. He finished 8th there, Phil and Joe. I think Joe just wanted to sneak his name in there because he wasn't on the rest of the results. Cars Racing Trans Am Series Thursday, they had no race there. Then you head over to the N4 Nights Cup Series. You got Jeff Kincaid, Ben Simmons, Mike, Marty, and Larry rounded out your top 5. And then N4 Nights Truck Series, Ben, Billy, Mike Panico, Bill Hall, and Larry Gooderson rounded out your top 5. Like I said, I'm looking at the cell phone right now and trying to get these out there, and that's my fault for not having a more up-to-date cell phone.
All right, well, that's the weekly review this week. If your league is not represented in the weekly review, well, one thing you got to do, guys, you got to send our results by email. Get us at drlive@drlnetwork.com. That is how you get your stuff on the weekly review. Cannot stress that enough. Email, guys. It goes to all of us here. We'll all have access to the same information, so we don't have to scramble late like Todd did there. And great to have those guys at Maniac Racing and N4 Nights, all those guys that represent all them over there. But that's a late entry, but off the phone. So email, guys. The best way to do it. Email us, drlive@drlnetwork.com. And I believe it's about time, Rich, to move in to our speed round topics this week. I believe we got a couple of decent ones, and I'm going to put this out there now to all our listeners out there to be part of the conversation. The IP on your screen, log into the SRA TeamSpeak, drop into the waiting room, and you'll be part of the conversation as we get to our roundtable discussions here a little later on. But first, Rich, I believe it's time for the speed rounds.
Yes, it is indeed. And so for those of you that are just checking in with us or not too familiar with how we do this, basically the way this is going to work is we're going to put 3 topics up on the board for the guys and the crew and everybody to talk about, discuss, or whatever. They have 5 minutes to talk about each topic that they put on there. They usually do not know what the topics are until we get into them. But we did collaborate a little bit on some of the topics tonight. So a couple of them might have an idea of what we're getting into. So as we get through these topics, we'll kind of explain them as we get going. So the first one, we're going to go ahead and get that started. And this is iRacing Dirt. And now the reason why this is a topic on here, and we're going to time it, and the timer's already started, but I can start it again in just a second. But iRacing Dirt has been out now for a week or better, and, we're just kind of wanting to see, was the big hoop-ha about it worth it? What are your thoughts now that people have had the chance to play with it? So the topic timer starts now.
All right. Well, I want to defer this to the experts before I take my take. I know, Todd, Joe, you guys have been on the racetrack here through the dirt a lot this week. I know I played with it just a little bit. So, Todd, you first. Now that iRacing Dirt has come to us here, it was released here a week ago. what are we all thinking about out there? What's the feedback, and how's everybody enjoying it out there so far?
Well, it's been great. It seems like everybody's enjoying it. A lot of people don't know how to race the dirt section of it. It's going to take a lot of practice for some of those guys that are coming into there, but it's and it's going to take a lot of practice for even the dirt guys to get used to it. But it's more of a home feel. It's if I have to go out on a limb and say that they did nail the physics and nail the track and the different stuff where the track gives, and I believe that that's one of the things that they did nail. There's a few things that a little quirky here and there, but not very much. The damage model sometimes messed up a little bit, like when you can go 500 feet in the air after somebody wrecks into you, but that's a little bit different. But all overall, everything has been great as far as that simulation goes for the dirt side of things. It's fantastic. I've loved every second of racing it. So it's enough where I can't put it down. But I'm still racing NASCAR 2003 too on a weekly basis. But the iRacing dirt was pretty good this week. So, I mean, a lot of people had to learn things. And Joe, you can probably echo the sentiment that we had a lot of fun there. We had a lot of wins between you, I, and a couple of our teammates, and it was fun at Eldora.
Yeah, we kind of jumped onto the dirt and into the setup building and tried to learn. You know, it was a little bit of a learning curve, especially if you're not used to making setups on iRacing, because things are a little quirky and a little different. But overall, is in retrospect, in a full spectrum aspect of everything, I'm happy. I'm very pleased with dirt. Everybody knows that I come from a pavement background. I'm not a dirt racer by trade, but I try my best to try and be a dirt racer. And you know, I give a lot of credit to Martin and David for kind of getting me to where I am for it. And I've enjoyed every aspect of it so far. I think it's great. My only complaint is the whole licensing class. I was very hesitant to go and jump into an official race because it all counts towards your oval rating right now, whether it be safety rating and your I rating. And frankly, some guys just, you know, you get into races with guys that know what they're doing. You get into races with guys that really don't know what they're doing. And, you know, it's just the luck of the draw, really. And that's the only downside of it right now is I wish they would put a little more emphasis into getting their dirt oval licensing stuff completed, so you can kind of count towards that at least and not have to worry about sacrificing your asphalt oval rating and your safety rating for it. But otherwise, I think everything's great. I know Todd's got a little bit of an issue with the damage model, which, you know, I don't have too big of a deal with. But as far as the physics and everything, I think they hit it pretty close to what at least I know about it. So I'm happy with it.
Well, I'll pick up on you there, Joe, about the safety rating and stuff. That's the reason I have not jumped into an official race yet. I've only turned a few laps here in practice on the dirt and iRacing. Very limited time on the pavement as well. But I just wanted to get familiar with it so we could, you know, pass along the conversation and whatnot. And it's always good to educate on what's out there. But so far, I really like the dirt. I like how it feels. It feels really authentic to me, especially just like you having a pavement background versus Todd with the dirt background. So far, so good. I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I'm looking forward to diving in here a little more with it. And Rich, I know you spent some time with iRacing this week playing around with some different things and whatnot. What have you been thinking of it so far?
Yeah, I have not got my wheel set up and have not got out there and raced. I've just kind of went in and observed some things, and I gotta say it looks pretty good. And I've been watching, you know, several of the different tracks, several of the different cars that they have out there, and I've been keeping track of things. And yeah, I'm playing with things, but we'll get a little bit more on that a little bit later. As you can see, the timer's about to head out on this topic. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and move us to the next topic. And the next topic one's going to be kind of interesting. It's called Sim Racing Rigs. It's all about pedal inversions. What do you guys think? Pedals on the floor like they come out of the box, or rearrange them and stick them up like a real car? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll start with this one, and then I'm going to throw our buddy under the bus here. But I'm a traditionalist guy. I'm definitely not an engineering guy. It's basically on the floor exactly how they come out of the box. You know, certainly not being able to use the wheel quite enough here in the last couple of weeks. So we've been so busy with the DRL network and a lot of different things going on. But I believe our buddy Joe Allen, you know, I think he dove headfirst into a project here over the weekend, Joe, and I believe that may have cut into your racing time a little bit. Is that not true?
You're a little true. You're right. You know, initially before I was the same as you. I was, you know, pedals out of the box in its little plastic housing on the ground. That's where they are. That's how you use them. And I've been wanting to do a pedal inversion for a long time. I just never really got around to it until, the idea struck yesterday on a Sunday morning at about 11 o'clock. I decided that today was going to be the day that I would do it. So I went down to the local Home Depot and bought some wood, some plywood, some 2x4s, and built up this rig and took apart the pedals and flipped them over and, put them into this, little rig that I built up, and I love it. I've wanted to do it for a long time. I finally, got the guts to dive in and do it, and I'm very pleased so far. I haven't been able to jump into NR 2003 and run a race with it yet, which is where the true test is going to be, because, as far as I'm not going to share my racing secrets, at least, not over air, but, I think it's going to be beneficial. I haven't really done much of it with iRacing because the late models that we're running over there so far, it's kind of throttled down and drifted around the corners. It's not a lot of play with the pedals, at least for me. So I haven't really got to truly test them out just yet, but so far I love it. I think, it was a little bit of a project. It took me several hours. I ended up missing the FTF race yesterday, but finally I had somebody there on standby to run the car for me to get the owner's points done. But, so far I think it came out great. I love the feel of it. It's different. It feels real. It feels realistic. So I think it's awesome. I'm all about it.
Now that sounds like a really ambitious project, Todd. What do you think? I know you've driven dirt cars here for real before, so you kind of know what that pedal inversion feels like on your rig. But I don't believe you truly have it on your current rig. Am I right with that?
Currently, I don't, and I think the aspect of things, the way Joe's had it, is the way to go. I just haven't had the time nor the energy to do what Joe did, and maybe someday I will. But that would more comparably be what maybe NASCAR 2003 or maybe even iRacing. It's beneficial to have something like that up, but we'll have to. I don't know, Phil. It makes it more realistic, in my opinion, if you invert your pedals.
All right, well, talking about pedal inversions here on DRL Live, our buddy Joe Allen did a big old, inversion setup there when you flip your pedals around and make it more of an authentic type feel. Certainly a really, really cool idea. And Rich Patton, I know you've got a tremendous rig down there you use for broadcasting. You've hung the wheel up here a little while ago, but what do you think of those pedal inversions there, Rich? You ever got ambitious enough to try one? And how much do you think that caters to the realism of what we do here as sim racers?
I think it's a toss-up. I mean, I can see why to do it. I can see tearing apart your pedals and building, a box or put them in or whatever concoction you come up with to make them, hang down like a real car. And I can see how that could be more realistic feeling. I'm not one to take apart something that I just got new out of the box or vice versa and rearrange things. So I probably wouldn't do it. I'll just stick with them on the floor because I've always had them on the floor just like every other wheel I've ever had there. I'll have this, the base plate and all that. I can see doing it, but I just can't say that I'm that hardcore enough to where I need to feel like I'm in the car. It's still somewhat of a game to me. So. Well, with that in mind, let's timer's getting down. I got about 30 seconds left, so we'll go ahead and go into the next topic. Now, this next topic is going to take us back to our lovely iRacing, but it's more informational for everybody out there, including the crew here. So the topic is DRTV and iRacing. What's going on?
I don't know, Rich. I know we've done a little bit of playing around. These guys have been toying on the track this week, a lot of practices and whatnot. But I think you've been a busy guy behind the scenes. So tell our viewers out there what's been going on. What is the future of a DRL network and a possibility of iRacing?
Well, I can tell you this is that, for the last week, as I mentioned earlier, I was out watching the cars, watching the tracks, getting a feel for everything and coming up with some of my own back end stuff and, seeing what the possibilities are for broadcasting it. And ironically, we're going to pull a DRTV first Wednesday night. We're going to broadcast a special iRacing event. So keep your ears tuned, your eyes peeled to our Facebook pages and all that good stuff because you're going to see some things happen tonight, tomorrow, whatever. And then Wednesday night, DRTV is going to take on iRacing. So if all goes smooth and we feel comfortable, we're going to open the doors up to start taking iRacing requests here in the near future. We don't have a date for that yet, but that is where I'm leaning to so far. So there's a lot in the works right now, and I know you guys are thinking, really, we're going to do this? And yeah, I think we're going to do this now.
Well, it's certainly an ambitious project, and I know a couple of years ago we played with the concept of iRacing. We did I think we did one try a broadcast a couple of years ago. It was a whole lot of fun and saw a whole lot of different things we never expected to see, especially, broadcast racing with the incident point type of things. I believe we had a good race for the lead, a couple of years ago during a broadcast and had both drivers just completely disappear from our screen with that rating hit system. But what do you think, Todd, as we branch out, and try to test the waters in other markets here and expand our horizons, if you would say, out toward iRacing? I know you spent a lot of time on the track, but how you feeling as far as, getting behind the microphone for one of these things and branching out to this world? I think it's a whole different endeavor for us, and I think we're going to see a whole lot of new great things we've never seen before.
Well, I've been pushing to get some dirt racing, and that's one of those things, that's my calling is dirt racing, and I have a lot of dirt racing background announcing-wise here locally around these short tracks and announcing period as far as that goes. Anything short track related, the asphalt's been kind of that feel when we've got to the short tracks, kind of gives me that feel, but anything dirt, you got the sprint cars, you got the late models, anything like that, even if we venture out further than iRacing, even that might not be out of the question. You just never know. But I love the fact that we're gonna try this, and it's go big or go home, and I'm willing to sacrifice some of the things and put on a good show for the viewers, and always remember NASCAR 2003 is still there and still growing, and a lot of things that are going on. So it's just going to be another venture that we just add on top of everything, which is great. And more broadcasts the merrier. You guys keep me off the track, the more safe that you guys all are.
I can echo that. I mean, this is a fun project. It's a new, not necessarily a new direction, because I know a couple years ago you and Phil, you and Todd and Rich went over and did this, and I know you guys had a lot of fun. But I'm the new guy on the block. I'm excited to do it. I talked about it briefly a couple weeks ago with Rich and the guys, and we kind of threw around and tossed around the idea about wanting to get in there and kind of get ahead of the curve and try to establish ourselves and just continue to get the DRTV and the DRL Network name out there. I mean, we want to be involved in a lot of this stuff, and I'm excited for it. I'm very excited that Rich actually took the idea to heart and went in there and bought some of the content to go in and look at stuff and play with some things. And some of the things that he's shown us behind the scenes are really cool, and I think it's going to really put on for some awesome broadcasting. And I'm really excited to kind of get our names over there and get us out there and be a part of that other side of the sim racing community. We've done a lot of things in NR 2003, and NR 2003 is here to stay, and we're here to stay and support NR 2003 as long as people want us to continue coming back. But I'm really excited to branch out and do something new, something different, new feeling, new aspect, new atmosphere, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I hear you, Joe. And one of the things, and I know a couple years ago I was tootling around with the iRacing stuff and played with it for a little bit. And one thing that I've always taken seriously with DRTV, just so everybody in the world knows, is that I'm proud of what this crew does, and I'm not going to put anything out there that I don't think is up to our standards. And I'm certainly not going to throw you guys out into a live broadcast with iRacing if I don't have all of my ducks in a row. So that's one reason why I, even after a couple of years of playing with iRacing off and on, I feel confident now that I am at the level where we need to be with iRacing to be able to go live to iRacing. So that's been the big holdup the whole time. I'm not going to put something out there and make it look like, anybody and their mother could have done it. So that's one thing that I've always stood firm on, as our quality of work and our crew and the dynamics of this crew. So that's the biggest reason for now finally coming out and going to start playing with iRacing a little bit more. So just so everybody knows that. But with that in mind, that's going to take us on to our next round, our round table.
All right, guys. Well, time for the round table. The team speak discussion is now open. If you'd like to be a part of the conversation here tonight, as part of the speed round topics. I know we spent a lot of the last 2 weeks with all the buzz around the iRacing dirt, but we want to talk about all things sim racing. So if you got something you'd like to bring up or new discussion points or whatever, stop on into the SRA TeamSpeak, the IP listed on your screen. Drop to the waiting room and come be part of the conversation pieces here on this week's edition of DRL Live. But to follow up the topic there, the last one we just had, and I'll even expand on the point a little more. Venturing out into the new world of iRacing is great, but I'd like to see DRTV even maybe take that a step further. And how opposed are we, Rich, in the future? Say a league that came to us wanted us to go out and maybe do like an Assetto Corsa type of race and try to learn that, or like a Project Cars or something new out there. How closed or open-minded are we all going to be? And, to let our viewers know out there that listen to DRL Network week after week, what can we expect from these guys out there? And can we invite to all new markets? And are we open to that expansion?
Yeah, that it's kind of an interesting question because, we've always wanted to, again, like I mentioned earlier, have a certain standard. And I'm open for all. I mean, for most of you guys that know me, I love Project Cars to death. I think it's outstanding. I like the way it drives. And I see a lot of, back and forth between Assetto Corsa and Project Cars and all that good stuff. If I have the time and the tools to make it to our standard, I've got no problems going out and branching out to other games. I've played with R Factor and R Factor 2, dabbled with that a little bit. I would just need some more testing. I don't have a problem going out and branching out. The problem that I think we're going to have is if we get too big, then we can't keep up with the schedule. We obviously can't broadcast 7 nights a week. So I think it's a balancing issue, but yeah, I'm always open to, hey, can DRTV do this? It might not be something we could do tomorrow night, but if there's enough call for it, yeah, I don't see why we can't start testing and playing and see where we stand and see if it's up to our standards or not.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, and bringing the other two guys into the conversation about it. But don't want to scare our viewership away. I know we've been granted rooted in NR 2003 for so long, and that's going to be our home forever. We're always going to have roots tied to that. There's no better simulation out there as far as the pavement racing. I think, Todd, you'll absolutely agree with that. And DRTV and DRL Network, and with this platform as a talk show to hear from our viewers with DRL Live, we're going to be a presence in the NR 2003 community for a long time. And there's still so much great stuff going on out there. So many great leagues we're going to cover here the next couple of weeks. And as you said, this game continues to grow, as old as it is, working on 15 years now, and always continues to evolve and thrive. We see all these new great leagues popping up, and I think we're going to see a lot of great racing from this old game to come.
Yeah, I mean, I just paused there for a minute, trying to think about everything that's been going on in the roundtable wise, and just having open discussions with everything. I think I echo your guys' sentiments. I mean, I can't announce 7 days a week. I would have no voice left. But announcing and venturing out and trying new things, that's great. And it's good for communities in general. It's just going to be a fantastic thing that's going to go on. I mean, there's not much more I can say to that.
And it's following along the dialogue in the YouTube chat box. So much great stuff there. We talked about, the racing simulators, Joe, and as far as the pedaling versions, and I got a good chuckle out there. Our buddy Charles Coach jumped in there and said he wants this simulator to be so real, if he hits the wall, he wants concussion. I think that's pretty awesome. Love to see the enthusiasm of our viewers out there. Also seeing a lot of debate about, with great sims coming out like R Factor 2, what is the reason to even go to iRacing Dirt? So much great discussion out there in the YouTube chat box. The waiting room open if anybody would like to come be a part of the discussion. But, as we talk about, Joe, all this great debate going on, what's going to be the better sim for Dirt, what's still tried and true out there. Rest our viewers aside, we're going to be busy here for a long time. Of course, the NR, branching out toward iRacing. But I've never dabbled out to the R Factor 2 world. I know I own it. I've played with it a little bit, not too familiar with it. I played the R Factor Dirt some, but a great debate in the chat box going on there with great stuff like R Factor 2. I mean, is that going to be the best direct competition with iRacing Dirt? Because the dirt sector of iRacing, Joe, it's certainly taking over all our craw right now.
Well, it's no secret that R Factor and Dirt Factor and all that stuff have really dominated that sector of sim racing for years and years and years. Whenever you thought dirt, you always initially you went to R Factor. I'm sorry, NR 2003 had their dirt, but a lot of guys missed it on how to properly do it, and it's only been recently that dirt really turned into a thing on NR 2003. But still, it really wasn't at the competition level that R Factor produced for dirt racing, and there was a lot of high talent, high quality guys that ran R Factor dirt, and it's always been that way. And I think, the competition between iRacing dirt and R Factor dirt is really going to come down to preference. You're going to have your diehard R Factor guys that have only known R Factor dirt, and that's what they've done for the last 10 years. And they'll maybe dabble into iRacing dirt, and they won't like it, and they'll go back to R Factor. And you'll have your guys that are hardcore iRacing fans, that are hardcore iRacing dirt guys that have dabbled in R Factor dirt and don't like it, and they'll never touch R Factor dirt again. So I think, honestly, it comes down to whatever your preference is. And the fact of the matter is, people are very thick-skulled, and they're kind of set in their ways, and that's just how it is. And if you're a hardcore R Factor guy, you're going to remain a hardcore R Factor guy. If you're a hardcore iRacing guy with dirt, you're going to remain a hardcore iRacing guy with dirt. And I think that's how it's going to be. I don't really see finding common ground between the two sims there. I mean, they're so different in how they drive. They're really not the same. That's what I've noticed. And, that's just how it is. And it's going to continue to stay that way.
Well, I couldn't agree more, and I'm going to put the call out to our YouTube chat box. Anybody out there listening to want to be part of the conversation, jump into the SRA TeamSpeak. It is last call to be part of the conversation here tonight. The Q&A session is now open. But just transitioning through from our speed round topics to what we got going on while we wait to see if the conversation expands to any tonight. But just find the home place for DRL Live, DRTV. Of course, it's DRLNetwork.com. Check out the great event schedule we have there. So many great leagues and broadcasts coming up here. Rich teased an iRacing event coming up this Wednesday night. Next Sunday night, April the 9th, we have the Bryant Motorsports 300 for our friends at AS Racing 2K3. Great group of guys, David Chin, Gary Mingus, and all the guys racing at the Michigan International Speedway here. A great event, 9 p.m. the air time on Sunday night coming up. And then 1 week after that, Saturday night, April the 15th, the SMO Hardcore 9th Annual Race for the Cure. I think one of the greatest races we do here all year. And touching on that, I'm going to put a link up on our social media outlets here just after the show. Jamie Tedder, all the guys at SMO, they have this great Relay for Life donation page set up. And you can actually find that link if you go over to the front of a DRLNetwork.com home site there. The top left, you'll see the little icon for Relay for Life. Those donations are now open. And now that's going to go to the great cause for the Relay for Life, finding a cure for cancer out there. The Race for the Cure, absolutely one of my favorite races. And Todd, I believe also one of your favorite races as well. Can't wait to go over there April the 15th on a Saturday night. Racing for the Cure, can't believe the 9th annual, and I believe we've been a part of 3 or 4 of these things and cannot wait to go back. Probably one of my most favorite races of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of my favorite races of the year. I circled that on my calendar. It's a great event. It's a great thing for Racing for the Cure. It's just one of those great things that NASCAR 2003 community gets together. SMO puts on every single year, and I'm always glad to be a part of that because those guys, I tell you what, are a class act, and the things that they do, for Racing for a Cure and donating. I mean, it may not be a lot, but at least they're donating and trying to make a difference, and any little bit helps. Try to find a cure. And, I've had a father that's been lost to cancer. I've had a mother lost to congenital heart defects or failures, and I've, stuff like that. I mean, they're racing for a cure. And trying to help out different things. So, anytime there's a donation involved into that, I strongly suggest if you guys aren't even racing in that SMO race, Racing for a Cure, that we'll find you a donation link to that, or get you in touch with one of those guys, and maybe even post something here later on DRL Live, so that way you guys can make a donation for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to post this all over our social media outlets. I know Rich has already got a link posted in the top left of the DRL Network website, so check that out if you'd like to donate. And Joe, we've had a loaded show here tonight. Don't think we got somebody joining us in the waiting room, so We talked to move this conversation further. I believe this will be your first race for the Cure here in a couple of weeks, and for a great event like that. And of course, as we, our next broadcast, previewing the ASR Bryant Motorsports 300 at Michigan. Michigan always makes for a great broadcast race, so can't wait to get over to ASR Sunday night and visit Gary and David and all the guys.
Yeah, Michigan's always provided great racing, and it really doesn't matter what version of Michigan you go to, although I know a lot of us are kind of impartial to the game track Michigan just for the racing that it provides and all of that stuff. But I'm really excited for all those guys over at ASR. That's going to be awesome. I love charity races in general. A lot of you guys know that I was a co-administrator with Jason Justice for the Checkers for Kids, our annual event that we raised over $500 for St. Jude's Children's Hospital just over a year ago, and we took the year off last year to do that, but we're planning things out to do that this year later on in the fall at least. So a little plug for that. We're still very early in the stages of what we want to do with it, but I have a special place in my heart for those charity races and all the good things, and it just shows that even though we have our quarrels and our feuds in this community, we still all know when to come together when the time is right. And it seems around these charity races that happens all the time. It's like you put your differences aside and you all do something for a good cause and that's what makes this community in NR 2003 great. Is the fact that we can all kind of put our differences aside for stuff like that. So, anytime there's a charity race, I try to do my best to participate or at least donate a little bit of something to whatever charity is at cause for that.
No, absolutely right. Well, we get the conclusion here. Moving on from the Q&A session. So hopefully hear from some viewers here next week as part of DRL Live. And of course, if you'd like to be a part of next week's weekly review, a shout out to all leagues out there. Send us your results next week at DRL Live at DRLnetwork.com. The inbox is open all week long. So whatever stuff you got to pass along, stuff the inbox. We'll talk about it here live next Monday night. But Rich, to close out the show this week, I'm not sure if any of the guys got much for closing remarks. So I believe we're going to transition straight into hot takes, Rich. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct. Next on the block is the DRL Live Hot Takes. So we'll go ahead and get that started here in just a second.
All right, guys, it is time for the hottest segment of DRL Live. It is called DRL Hot Takes, and a disclaimer I read week after week when we do this. The thoughts and opinions expressed in DRL Hot Takes are solely that of its author, and not those of DRL Network, its partners, clients, or affiliates. The intent of DRL Hot Takes is for us to give our honest opinions in a completely unfiltered format to create conversation and topics for further discussion and debate. So this week's DRL Hot Take, I believe Joe and Todd, they're ready to jump back in their late models for practice. So I'll take the hot take all of myself this week. I'll get on the soapbox, and my topic for hot takes this week, claiming cautions. And for any race admin out there that you can even think about this and the headache that comes involved with it, the need for guys, the unnecessary need for guys to not claim their cautions. If the caution is your fault, and you claim involved and you guys can't come up with a cause for the caution or give anybody any kind of direction, it makes a headache for race admins. And I can speak for so many out there, not just myself. I know there's so many great owners out there that do a lot of great racing in other leagues, and replay review sucks, guys. I mean, it's so easy for leagues with a clean race or guys that own up to their mistakes, for leagues to go out there and post race results right away, and you can see updated point standings and stuff right away. But when you get races that are filled with caution flags and guys taking I's instead of C's and nobody wanting to claim involved, I know a race recently here, I had to review 7 caution flags in a race that were all unclaimed. And I know we've all been there. There's so many great admins out there that do such a great job and try to run a transparent league. It's just extra burden, guys. So all you racers out there who think you may just be better than anybody else and I don't want to fess up to my caution, I'm perfect. Well, newsflash to y'all. Nobody is perfect. Man up, as Eddie Lee, our friend, would say. Take your caution flag, take your penalty, and race on. And that's my hot take for this week. And Todd or Joe, I'm not sure you got anything to follow on that, but it's a pretty passionate rant from me this week. And I think you guys can all agree and attest to that one. Claiming cautions, guys, out there, and it makes work as admins and league owners and whatnot so much easier on us.
Yeah, I echo everything you say. As a fellow race admin, and I know we have a lot of race admins that listen to our show, a lot of close friends of ours that do that. I mean, it's no secret that we do our races pretty late at night. I mean, we're talking 9 p.m. Eastern time is when a lot of these races start. And if some of us race admins have to go back through in these long race reviews afterwards, we're talking some of us aren't getting to bed until after midnight. I mean, when I was involved over at Blazing Pedals with our Wednesday night series, we had double headers. We had our Camping World Truck series followed by the 7-Eleven Super Truck series. Our 7-Eleven series didn't roll off until 10:30 Eastern time. There were some nights after races that I was up with Jason, and I'm on the West Coast. I was up with Jason and Derek going over race reviews until 2:30 in the morning for me. We're talking 5:30 in the morning Eastern time before Jason and Derek were able to get to bed, because it was something that we wanted to get done that night to get points up as soon as we could. And it's an extra burden. And, you know, we know when we sign up for our positions and we volunteer our time to do this, we know what we're getting ourselves into. We know that there's going to be some late nights when we do this. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's still something that, you know, the drivers have to take upon themselves and, you know, claim your cautions. Like, claiming involved isn't always going to fix the issue. If you know it's your fault, and let's be honest, there's been some blatant accidents. There have been some blatant wrecks and accidents that you know it's your fault and you claim involved anyways. I mean, and it's stuff like that that really frustrates us as race admins, is when we go back and look at the replay and we see how blatantly obvious it was that it was your fault, it just makes it that much worse, because we're like, really? Like, it was your fault. Like, there's no reason why you should have claimed involved. You should have just claimed your caution and moved on with it. So, I mean, that's my portion of the rant. It's a very passionate thing that all of us race admins think about, because, you know, it makes for a lot of late nights for a lot of us if you have these caution-filled races. So I completely echo everything that you said, Phil. I mean, I feel the exact same way.
Now, Rich, you ran a great league, dyno racing, for a long time, and I know you got some passionate thoughts about this as well.
Yeah, and you know, that was one of the issues back when I did run the league, is we did basically, you know, tell the drivers to claim your cautions, and, you know, each caution had to be reviewed, and if it wasn't claimed, it was reviewed, and then somebody got a penalty, and that dropped them to the end of the events and points. But, you know, the bottom line is everybody learned to claim their cautions, because then it's in the hands of whoever's reviewing, and there's no say-so about it. So if you think you were involved, you know, like a couple guys said in the chat box, just take the caution, go to the end of the line, and race your way back up there. I mean, if you were up front, you were able to get up there to begin with anyway, so it shouldn't be that hard, and just show how better you are. The problem that I have with, you know, people not claiming cautions is, to me, that tells me all I need to know about that person. Because to me, that's the type of person that will take as much as they can until they're caught. And I'm not like that. I don't care where I start in the race. I don't care if I go back to the race. I'm out there to have fun. If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. That's fine. But to me, you know, if you cause a caution and you don't claim it, then that just tells me all I need to know about you. And I'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely right. And Todd, I know you ran successful leagues years ago for a long time, and just echoing what these guys out in the chat box are saying, you know, guys who can't claim their cautions and make for these long nights of reviews and whatnot, and penalties you're going to hand out later, it almost relegates race admins as babysitters. I don't think any of us are here to babysit, and as a guy that's run a successful league for a long time, I think you can also echo all those sentiments.
Yeah, I remember doing what you guys do. I mean, I actually went to an Eye in the Sky admin, and we had Eye in the Sky admins in our series when we were real big, and they seemed to work out good. And there was no such thing as a racing deal. Somebody's always at fault. I mean, even at a local racetrack, there's always somebody getting sent to the rear because that's who was at fault. It may not be the correct. It may not be correct. The correct call, but somebody's getting punished. It don't matter. There's no such thing as a racing deal. So in my book, and so I mean, just as far as everything else that's going on, I mean, they should claim their cautions. They shouldn't make the admin's life miserable, or at least say that you're involved in it, and do an end of line penalty. So that way we don't have to score you dead last on the results and go through all that work. And, you know, if you really think you caused it, you caused it. You know, it usually 90% of the time you know you caused it when you didn't take it.
Yeah, I got one more thing to throw on that. We're chatting behind the scenes over here, and, you know, to me, why don't we just do away with it all, right? No more claiming cautions. From now on, just do it like it is in real life, right? If you hit somebody that's in front of you, it's your fault, regardless of what the situation is. Anytime there is an accident in real life, the person that's in the back that hits the person in front of them, no matter what it is going to get the ticket and going to get the blame. You are not allowed to hit the car in front of you.
Well, that's a final thought from Rich Patton. I think, Rich, we could almost call that this week's, and it's been a long time coming, a Don't Drink the Kool-Aid. So, of course, words from the wise there from our good buddy, Mr. Rich Patton. But thank you out there, everybody in YouTube land, for watching us here this evening. Check out the website here, the full broadcast schedule, of course, drlnetwork.com. Be a part of DRL Live. Next week, we'll be back here Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for an all-new edition of DRL Live. So until next week, for Todd, for Joe, and for Rich, my name is Phil LeCast. Thank you out there for watching us here tonight. Another installment of DRL Live on the DRL Network, the best in sim race broadcast. Good night.